Next, we have Claus Skaaning, CEO of DigiShares, presenting tokenization from a global perspective. He will share insights into global tokenization trends and their implications for finance. Let's welcome Claus.
So yeah, my name is Claus Skaaning. I'm the CEO, one of the founders of DigiShares. We started 6-7 years ago, and today we are one of the leading providers of technology infrastructure for tokenization globally. We have close to 200 clients in more than 40 countries, and we cover very globally, I would say. So basically, we provide a white label tokenization platform, a software system that gives asset managers the full control over the tokenization process, an end-to-end management system for tokens and investors, facilitating both issuance, sales of tokens, KYC and onboarding of investors, corporate management, share cap table management, distribution of dividends, trading, and so on. So a lot of functionality that can be customized and configured to match any kind of requirement. Everything is also accessible through APIs, so it can be integrated with institutional financial systems as desired. The system can also be used out of the box and be ready to use within a week. It's a highly customizable system. We provide a lot of configuration options for KYC, payment providers, exchanges, custodians, wallets, and so on. That can be used in pretty much any jurisdiction, in any configuration. As you know, as you are well aware, tokenization is very much also a legal exercise. Regulation across the world is developing all the time for tokenization. Even though I would say tokenization is primarily concerned with working with securities. So security tokens are created based on shares in an SPV or bonds or revenue share or something like that. It's still a complicated legal matter in many jurisdictions how to handle these securities. Is a tokenized security the same as a normal security? Should it be treated the same, or should it have different regulation? Europe, with MiCA and the MiFID regulation, has chosen to say that the regulation is basically technology neutral. So whether a security is tokenized or not doesn't make any difference. It's treated according to the same regulation, which makes it very easy for us. In the US, it's pretty much the same. The SEC has recognized security tokens since 2017, I believe, and view them as just a tokenized form of a normal security. So, but there are countries like Germany, Liechtenstein, a lot of Asian countries, and also I would say the Gulf region, right, that has introduced special regulation. So if you tokenize, if you fundraise with tokens instead of doing it with normal shares, you need extra licensing and extra legal work, which is in principle unfair to the technology. But this is just to highlight the fact that tokenization is a very legal exercise, and it's necessary, of course, to be aware of regulation. We have a legal counsel employed with us who oversees the development of global regulation. And we also have a network of more than 80 legal firms across the world that can help facilitate compliance. But I would say generally, if you are in Europe and in the US, you can just go ahead and tokenize your asset without needing any special kind of license, other than the one that you would also use or need to get if you were not tokenizing but just doing the same kind of activity without tokens. So that's pretty much us. So we are a technology provider, but in addition to this, we have also realized that there is a great lack of distribution channels and buy side in the tokenization space. So for this reason, we are launching the world's first exchange for tokenized real estate assets called realestate.exchange within a few weeks. So we're expecting to launch it either in December or January. So yeah, in a really short time. This will be an end-to-end, wallet-to-wallet regulated and licensed exchange to trade tokenized securities. Tokenization, of course, I think that everyone here is familiar with what it is. We see it as really an infrastructure technology that allows you to transact with securities, tokenized securities, in a much more efficient, less costly, more transparent, more secure, much more efficient way. So it's just a new infrastructure that can increase and improve the existing financial ecosystem, the existing ecosystem for how to deal with and to transact with real estate and so on can be massively improved, both on the cost and efficiency, transparency and security dimensions. So really what we're looking at is a way to improve over the existing technologies. So that's maybe factor number one, or benefit number one. Benefit number two is that we can actually now transact with securities outside the existing financial ecosystem, outside the banks, outside the exchanges. It becomes possible to self-custody a share in a digital form, something that wasn't possible before. With the Bitcoin white paper, it suddenly became possible to self-custody and transact with tokenized currency, tokenized value in general. And of course, this has also implications for securities, right? So we could do the same with securities now. And that means we open up for a massive degree of innovation. Software companies like DigiShares and many other software companies can now create applications, software applications, where they can transact with securities in tokenized form outside the banks and exchanges and so on, in a much more efficient way, much more transparent way, much more secure way, and so on. So we will see a massive wave of innovation happening in the financial ecosystem due to this creation of a parallel ecosystem and infrastructure that will also slowly, of course, converge with the existing financial ecosystem. So we will see that all of this will mean that it will become much easier, I would say, to create digital forms of tokenized securities in a way that users can much more easily transact with them. And that also gives us the possibility to create exchanges and to list on exchanges much more easily and at a much lower cost. So we will also generally see an increased liquidity in the space, especially in real estate. And we believe actually that longer term, if you are not making your asset liquid, you will not be able to compete because of the illiquidity premium, which means that if you have an asset that you are invested into, if you are not easily able to exit from your investment, this will be priced in. So the price will actually be perceived as lower due to this added risk of not being able to exit at any given time. But on the other hand, if you are able to exit due to tradability and liquidity, you will not have this illiquidity penalty or premium, and the perceived value of the liquid asset will be 20 to 30% higher. This is well documented. So obviously, if a lot of real estate assets and renewables and so on is liquid and tradable, if you are making a new asset in the space and trying to facilitate a funding round, investment round on it, you will necessarily be forced to make it liquid in order to be competitive with the rest of the space. So this will longer term become a requirement, we believe. The last thing that I would say is that, of course, we'll see much increased liquidity over the next few years, but we will also longer term see much increased ability to become much more capital efficient and use assets and tokenized assets as collateral for lending. Lending will be democratized, and it will become easier to get a loan on your assets. We haven't yet seen this to any great degree with real estate. because we need to make real estate liquid and tradable first. But it's definitely going to happen, and it will make real estate development and investment much more capital efficient, and will also contribute to liquidity. So we see two trends that are growing quite fast. One is the number of individuals globally that have access and are interested in investing into real estate. The other trend is the number of users globally that have active wallets in the Web3 ecosystem. These two trends together result in a fast increasing section or population that is both able to and interested to invest into tokenized assets. It's growing almost exponentially. So, of course, in the earlier years, the industry seemed to be growing quite slowly, but there's no doubt that it's going to be growing, eventually grow much faster and become very large due to these two trends. So yeah, it's the same that I have a slide on here, right? So the intersection between these two trends are basically tokenization users, a group that is growing quite fast. I think all of us have this slide in our presentation somewhere. Tokenization is projected to become an extremely large industry. And I think it's not really due to smaller companies like us, but it's due to larger companies like Citi and BlackRock, Hamilton Lane, and so on, tokenizing US trillion-dollar funds and very quickly actually reaching the projected numbers. So we think that tokenization will eventually become the infrastructure to use in the financial industry, also in the real estate industry, and so on. And it'll just fade into the background and become the natural way of doing things. So we are early adopters of the technology and will hopefully be able to benefit greatly from the universal global adoption of this infrastructure in the future. So banks will start to offer wallets and self-custody of crypto. We are starting to see that happening more and more. Wallets will become so user-friendly that anyone can use them. Your crypto funds will be insured, similar to the money you have in the bank today. So this will converge, and everyone will eventually use tokenized value and tokenized currency and tokenized securities without knowing it, because it'll just become part of the existing financial infrastructure. We will also have the CBDCs, the national digital currencies, that will converge or develop together with the stablecoins. So this will mean that the CBDCs will operate on the chain, maybe possibly in a native form or in a wrapped form, and that will make it even easier to get liquidity and get sort of volume on the chain, and more easier then also, of course, to get users for tokenization and get adoption of tokenization. So hopefully we are looking into a bright future. We are primarily concerned with real estate, even though the platform that we provide is asset agnostic and can be used for any type of asset. And we actually have, I think, about 20% of our clients are tokenizing renewables, funds, gold, diamonds, and many other different types of assets. The majority of our clients are still focused on real estate. It is a massive asset class. It's $326.5 trillion, and it's ripe for disruption. Only about 1% of global real estate is listed on an exchange today and is liquid and tradable to some degree. And less than 5% of retail investors own real estate as an investment object today, which is a pity because they actually hold 40% of global wealth. Institutional investors are also not very interested in real estate because it's not liquid today. If we can make it liquid, they will become much more interested. There's a lot to be done, and there's a lot of potential for disruption, and tokenization is the key technology to be able to do it. So we provide a platform for managing the life cycle of tokens and investors. So it handles issuance, so minting tokens, offering the tokens for sale, managing the KYC and onboarding process, and so forth. Investor management is a second area of functionality, so managing compliance, corporate management, share cap table, shareholder meetings, dividends, and so on. And also the reissuance of lost tokens. So as opposed to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, what we do with security tokens is actually reversible. So if tokens are stolen or you lose your private key, we can burn and reissue to the correct wallet and fix any kind of errors. This is required by law. We also have trading as a part of the system. There's an internal bulletin board marketplace that can be used to trade internally in project, and in most jurisdictions this can be done without needing a license because it's just viewed as an internal trading facility. It's a peer-to-peer, wallet-to-wallet marketplace. In addition to this, we are launching realestate.exchange, which will be a regulated licensed exchange to trade tokenized real estate. Peer-to-peer, wallet-to-wallet, fully regulated. It's integrated with a US ATS partner to begin with. We will have very low listing and transaction fees, so it will be highly competitive with other providers in the space. We will also use a new decentralized ID framework, co-developed with Polygon, called Privado ID, and sort of merge with our own DITO, decentralized ID for tokenized assets. And we believe that this will possibly, it has the potential to become the future standard for decentralized ID, especially in the tokenization ecosystem, because we will roll it out to the exchange and to all our white label partners. And of course, also Polygon will also try to get it, to get many other companies to use it. So this will ensure that if you do KYC somewhere in the tokenization ecosystem, your KYC can be reused with other providers in the space that are compatible and sort of use the same standard here. The standard itself will not be controlled by us nor Polygon. It will be open and independent and free for anyone to use. So the first version of the exchange will be launched in December or January in the US, together with our ATS partner Texture Capital. The goal is then to launch 3 more versions of the exchange next year in the UAE, in South Africa, in the European Union. These will all be AMMs, automated market makers with liquidity pools and sort of decentralized provision of liquidity. We believe that this is a superior way of facilitating an exchange or a trading functionality compared to a normal order book version. It's a smarter way of doing it because it allows us to bootstrap and grow liquidity in a much more fast and efficient manner. We are part of the European Union blockchain sandbox in order to develop, also help map out the legal framework for running an AMM in the European Union. In the UAE, we are applying with a regulator. In South Africa, we already almost have an exchange license on our hands. So we should be able to launch during the next year in all of those geographies. So that's pretty much what I have here today. I don't know if we have a format for questions or there's a panel discussion. Otherwise, I'll be here. Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me, Augustin.